Hello, everyone. You're listening to Lipstick and Leather, and with me right now is Klaus Eichstadt. How's your day treating you today, Klaus?
Good, very good. Thank you. How about you?
You know what? It's a good day. Got the Ugly Kid Joe shirt on background, and I'm all
Yeah,
set.
yeah. I was impressed. I was like, damn. The power of technology.
For sure. I'll be seeing you at Turtle Lake, actually. I can't wait for that
All
concert.
right, cool.
It's going to be a good one. All
Yeah,
right. Now, the
yeah,
Ugly
we're
Kid Joe and
excited.
Fozzy tour is a super cool lineup. How did the tour come about?
Oh wow. I don't know. I know that we've played with Fozzy a couple times in Europe over the past 10 years, and we've always just he's just a great guy and great band, and I think Wit and him have stayed in touch over the years, and it just the name got kicked around when we were talking about through a booking agent about doing a U.S. tour, that it would be a cool thing to have a co-headlining tour with somebody, and that name came up, and it was kind of one of those things where, like, yeah, we've actually played together before, and the timing worked out, and the next thing you know, we're touring together. So um, that it just materialized, and it's been a long time.
Awesome. Now, the Ugly Kid Joe guys go way back with Rob Halford, just as you were saying.
Mhm.
Did Rob get to tell you his opinion on the title Rad Wings of Destiny at the Virginia Beach show or any other time?
We did we have the title yet? I think we did. We didn't actually ask him or tell him. We weren't sure yet. I don't think the record hadn't come out yet, and we were we hadn't. I mean, I'm sure if we would have had the record, we would have handed it to him and be able to check it out. It's your band's name. But anyway, so no, we've never actually talked to Rob about the name Rad Wings of Destiny. But we've known Rob over the years, and he's always been super kind to the band, and of course he sang on one of our records. So yeah, I mean, Virginia Beach was a big honor for us too. I mean, it was kind of right towards it was still COVID, so it was really one of those nerve-wracking situations. It was the first show we did since COVID had started, and we were really worried about the whole backstage, and it was really strict backstage. So we didn't even think we'd see any of Judas Priest, because it was a very everything was super no backstage passes, period. Just crew and band only, and everybody was masking in what do you call it, in the uh, uh, common areas. And all of a sudden, Rob walks into our dressing room and says hi, mask on, and we take pictures with him. And it was took the mask pictures. We still got to have the moment, which is great.
Now, I love the videos for That Ain't Living, Kill the Pain, Lola, and Failure, where Dave is wearing a striper shirt in it.
Yeah. To hell
Will
with the
there be
devil.
another video off the recent album?
Yeah, we did a few, and they will just keep dropping them here and there. Um, and yeah, the striper shirt was kind of funny because we actually got a lot, like, online, people making comments. We got a lot of comments about that, even from the striper camp. They're like, yeah, thanks for wearing the shirt. I'd seen striper way back at, like, their first tour, I think, on their the album with, like, what was the name of it, not the hell with the one before, the hell with the devil. And
Soldiers on Your
yeah, they're
Mind?
yeah. And uh yeah, I like striper. They threw by I caught one of their bibles.
Awesome. Now, when the band released Stairway to Hell, the band at that time in life was only interested in releasing either future EPs or singles. What made the band decide to get back on releasing full length albums, which I think is perfect? I love full length albums. I like EPs too, but I like full length albums more.
Um, we never really. I mean, we thought when we did the EP, when we reunited, it was just that's what we had at the time, and we obviously weren't with a label, and we were financing it ourselves, and we just we worked on it, and we got it to where we were like, this would be a good EP. And then we thought a little bit about, we started with an EP, back in '91, so I think that was kind of like perfect excuse to say, let's do an EP, because it's kind of reintroducing the band the same way we came the first time, which worked out pretty well. So uh, we're like, let's just do an EP, and then we'll see what happens. And so we've done 2 records since. So it's kind of a similar process.
Now, any truth that Ugly Kid Joe signed a one album, $1 million deal contract with Castle Records to release Motel California?
I think officially, yes, that was the number, but it ended up being a lot less. But yeah, I think it was technically $1 million record deal. So, in terms of like what they put into the record and things like that.
Now, what did the band learn from having their own imprint label from Castle Records, Evolution Records?
What did we learn?
Yeah.
We learned that it was fun trying to come up with a logo and a name for a record company. And now we have UKJ Records, which is really truly like the band, well, more Wit and our co-managers label, and that's really truly us because there is actually no other entity involved. So the UKJ Records with the dog peeing on the gramophone is really the new our that Evolution was more of just for. I mean, actually, no, I take that back because we did actually record that record in my garage completely on our own with all in house. We had one engineer. So yeah, I think that was kind of now that I think about it, we were the label in a lot of ways, you know. They put up the money though, but we did all the stuff, you know.
Mhm. For a while on the Menace tour, Ugly Kid Joe didn't play Everything About You and Cats in the Cradle. What made the band decide to put those two hit tracks back in the set list?
Because we were stupid not to play those songs. I don't. We didn't always not play them, but I just know there's a few shows we didn't. Maybe it was more than just a few, but yeah, it was foolish, honestly. You know, live and learn. We wanted to. I guess our whole thing was like we want people to hear our heavy stuff, and we don't want to just be known for those two songs. And then a few months down the road, you're like, but that's what we are known for. Like we have to play those. Can you imagine going to see um, you know, I don't want to say name it Bon Jovi and he doesn't play Living on a Prayer, you know? You got to play your biggest hit. Can you imagine?
Now, is it difficult to get the rights to use Nicolas Cage as part of Peggy Sue Got Married on Sucker Punch?
Sucker Path, and no, it wasn't difficult. I think it was we reached out and he's like, yeah, go for it. That'd be cool. It wasn't difficult at all. And it worked perfect. It was weird that Win had thought in his head there's a scene in this movie, and we're like, oh, here's another one of Wit's crazy ideas. And we literally like drop it in, and we were like, oh my God, we didn't even barely move it. It just the timing was almost impeccable. It was weird. It was meant to be.
Now, why didn't you want to be an Ugly Kid Joe anymore in 1997?
At that time, I think our success was waning. We were all pretty burnt out from a lot of touring and a lot of there was a lot of sort of back and forth with labels. We got dropped by one, joined another, then it was like kind of in the air if we're going to do another, and everybody in the band was already starting to do other things. And it was 7 years. We joke it's the 7 year itch, but it was super amicable. We all decided let's call it a day, and everybody can start their next chapter in their lives. And I was saying earlier, like we really, it was sad because it's like breaking up kind of, and it was a great relationship. It was a great life experience, and it was an amazing run that we had for 7 years as Ugly Kid Joe. Starting from playing in a garage to playing arenas, with Ozzy and all that stuff. And so it was really cool though, because when we did break up, I think in a way we probably were getting a little bit sick of each other, but we definitely getting sick of the whole thing. And that the business side, the management, the labels, the back and forth, and like I said, people were starting to do other things, joining other bands. Dave was getting into producing, and we when we called it quits, it was kind of cool because afterward, even though it was sad, it was like immediately we were all just friends again. It wasn't any animosity. So in a way it worked out great because 10, 13 years later it was like a phone call. It was like, let's do it again.
Now, there's a censored version of America's Least Wanted. Did your label give you the option to not create a censored cover and risk not having the album in Walmart, or did you guys have to create a censored cover?
We were forced to create. They said we're going to censor the cover, and so I think we said, you know what, give us like a week to come up with an alternate cover. And we called Moish, who was the artist who actually did the original Ugly Kid Joe. He did America's Least Wanted cover, and he sadly passed away about 6 years ago. And yeah, Moish Brenman, and he was a artist for he was worked for Santa Cruz Skateboards, and I think he's just great skateboard artist. And we called him up and I said, dude, they're censoring us. Can we do something funny? Like, can you make the kid like gagged and bound and stuff? And he's like, yes, I'll get right on it. And he just, in a couple of days he had the art and we sent it to him and they used it.
Now, you record Minutes of Sobriety in a place Jimmy Stewart built and Jimmy Dean last owned next door to tennis star Jimmy Connors. Did you get to meet tennis star Jimmy Connors?
No, I didn't. I don't know if any of us did. It's a pretty rural area, and so the houses are like ranches, so that you don't like, it's not like your neighbor that you see walking the dog. It's more like they're way over there. But we hear that's Jimmy Connors' estate.
Another Klaus that I think is awesome is Close Mine of Scorpions. Have you ever got to meet Close Mine?
Yes, it was really kind of embarrassing. We were in Germany playing a big show. I think it was with Def Leppard or Bon Jovi or somebody like that. And so it was like a kind of a big arena, and there was a big backstage area. And I see him walking down the hall, and I'm thinking, that's Klaus Meine of the Scorpions, right? And my name's Klaus. So I'm like, and I speak German actually. So I'm like, I'm going to say something to him. I'm not the most, I'm kind of an introvert. I don't really just run up to people and say hi. So I was like, kind of gathered my courage, and I was like, I'm going to walk up to him and say something in German. And what I said to him was, hi, Klaus. My name is Klaus too. Isn't that like, yay? And he's like, good to meet you. Kind of like, that's like me saying, hi, John, my name's John too. It's like in Germany, that's a totally normal name. And his look on his face was kind of like, oh, okay, well, hi. And that was it.
Now, since the first show didn't happen with Pretty Boy Floyd, one of my dream tours would be Pretty Boy Floyd touring with Ugly Kid Joe, or even a couple one-offs. Have you guys ever talked to Steve Summers or Christy Majors or someone about the possibility?
No, not about that, but that's not a bad idea. But we did talk to them back in the day. We were in the studio doing America's Least Wanted, and we get a call. Someone at the studio was like, hey, walked into our room and said, hey, there's someone from Pretty Boy Floyd on the phone. They want to talk to anybody from Ugly Kid Joe. And we're like, oh shit, here it is. They're pissed, because we'd just been saying how we got our name on all these millions of interviews. So I'm like, okay, I'll go talk to him. So I pick up, and the dude was like, hey man, it's so and so, and we just want to thank you for, you totally got our name out there. And we're like, our pleasure, man. I mean, that's how we got the name. And it was really cool because you never know in rock and roll and especially heavy metal, for some reason there's always this like, there's a little bit of that, fuck you, man. But you never know what you're going to get. We've had it both ways, where some people like are like mad at us and some are like right on, high five. So that was really nice.
Now, I love Mr. Record Man. How did you decide to sing on it? And will you be doing any more singing down the road?
Wit, it was kind of one of the last songs written for the record, and it was obviously a different type of song than our rock songs. And I was trying to get Wit to sing it, and Wit was like, and I'm singing it, saying this is how it goes, and da 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 da. And he's like, why don't you just sing it? I'm like, well, no, because you're the singer. And he's like, so what? And that's kind of how Wit rolls. He's like, so what? Just because I'm the singer doesn't mean I need to sing every song, you know? And so I was like, no, I don't want to sing it, And then our producer, Mark, who's the producer, is like, yeah, mate, why don't you give it a shot? It doesn't need to be good. It's more the story, mate, And I was like, oh, doesn't need to be good. Yeah, I'll sing. No pressure. So I did, and I sang it like a million times. And I mean, that's the funny part. Like, we'll sing a song twice and it's nailed. I had to sing that a million times and it's not nailed. That's the difference between a good singer and a bad singer.
Now, did you receive any feedback from the Mr. Rogers camp from the track Neighbor?
No, not as far as I know. No, as far as I know, no. Yeah, um, I don't think we got anything. We've. I mean, people make comments about it. I remember MTV. I think it was I forget the guy's name. One of the big MTV VJs made kind of a comment about it, like, "What's this? You guys ripping off Mr. Rogers?" But that was it. I never heard anything else.
Now, the royalties of panhandling Prince went to the Fred Jordan Mission. Did you receive any feedback or a thank you from the Fred Jordan Mission?
Yeah, they thanked us. Yeah, yeah, that was cool because it was a song about a panhandler and homelessness, and It was kind of written in Isla Vista where the band started. It's a college town, but it's there's a lot of homeless people. I mean, not a lot, but there's pretty good amount for that time in where we live. That was a lot, and it was a really relatively friendly homeless community. And what I meant by that is it worked out. Like it was a lot of skate rat kids, a few homeless people kind of hanging out at this park, and everybody got along. And it was actually a really kind of a nice vibe. The weather's great. It was good. Like it was a college town, so there was a lot of like cheap food, stuff like that. You get the chicken fried rice for 99 for $1 at this place. That's where we always eat lunch, and burritos were like $1.25 for these amazing bean, cheese, and rice burritos. So we were kind of living parallel lives at the time, and befriended a couple of the homeless people. And that song was written obviously about a homeless person.
Now, I love the band War Babies. How was the tour with the War Babies and Sugartooth?
Oh, great. Yeah, the War Babies tour went great. And Sugartooth obviously was the band that Dave was in before he joined Ugly Kid Joe. So we had the same manager, and we would hang out with Dave and go see his band, and vice versa. Him and a couple guys would come see us. So it was always this kind of fun camaraderie, I guess you could say, between the two bands. And then we stole their guitar player. No, it was all good. It was all like he actually, I think, helped find the replacement for him, and it ended up being this amazing dude. So it was all again amicable and relatively above the board.
Now, we were just talking about the Ugly Kid Joe dog, whose name is Scrappy, the dog mascot. Will Scrappy the mascot be used again in the future?
Oh yeah, he's the label imprint now, and so he's always gonna show up on our records.
Now, I love Ugly Kid Joe's covers. Would Ugly Kid Joe ever cover, say, AC/DC's Gone Shooting?
Oh my God, we actually have,
Oh,
not the whole song, and we haven't recorded it, but I think we played like a verse and a half probably live at some point. That's one of my favorite riffs of all time. Yeah, that one. Just making sure I got the
awesome.
right song. Yeah.
Now, when you played Rock and Ring with Pretenders / the Snake
Oh yeah.
Pit in Munich, Germany, did you get to meet Hootie and the Blowfish?
I didn't, but I think Whit met. He said, "What's up, Hootie?" to Darius, and so I think there's a hi, how you doing, that kind of thing. That's about it. Yeah. Darius Rucker. Actually, I love some of his country stuff he did later. Him and Brad Paisley did this. I don't know if you ever heard the song. I think it's "I Don't Know, But I Don't Care." It's a really funny song by Rucker and Brad Paisley. Check it out if you haven't heard it. It's a good one.
I will for sure. Awesome. Now, how did Ugly Kid Joe get author, comedian, actress Julia Sweeney involved in Everything About You, Goddamn Devil, and of course, the Neighbor video?
Um, we were all huge SNL fans, and her character Pat was one of our favorite skits. And oh my God, it was the weirdest one of those things. A friend of ours, friend of a friend, that we kind of hung out of the house in Isla Vista, in like I was saying near Santa Barbara. There, he was like the cousin of Julia Sweeney or something random like that. We're all sitting around playing Galaga or something, and we were like talking about Pat, the character, and he's like, "That's my cousin" or something, and we're like, "No shit," and we're like, "Dude, we're on a like, we're starting to get some success, and we're like, on a label and all that, and we're like, would you ask her if she'd do a video with us or be in a video of ours?" And he's like, "I totally will." And he comes back and he's like, "Yes, she's totally down. She loves you guys, or she likes the band somewhat." And I don't know. She was like, the idea was great. She was like, "Yeah." So we got her number, and then we were actually in the studio. We were asking her if she could do some vocal things because we released the songs, but we wanted to change them a little bit. We thought of these ideas. So we just said, "Hey, ask her if she'll come to the studio." She lives in LA, and we were in LA. So she comes. Okay, it was really funny. We asked, "Can she come and do some like vocal things?" Well, she misinterpreted as come and do a video. So she shows up with like her whole Pat outfit, not on, but she had like the whatever, like the suit bag, but would had like the outfit. And she kind of came and she's like, oh, we're like, oh no, you're just doing like a vocal thing on the mic. And she's like, oh shit, I brought the whole. And I think she may even like put the wig on for fun. But then we asked her, would you do a video? And she's like, yeah. And so it was. I mean, she was super cool, super nice, super down for doing it. And she's a comedian, and that song, the whole point was to be kind of funny and have that neighbor wig her out. And the neighbor guy was from Terminator, the original Terminator with Schwarzenegger. We were all sitting around watching it one night. It was on cable or something back in the day. And there's that guy. He's the what do you call it? He's the super of the apartment or the hotel, that crappy little seedy hotel that Terminator's staying in. And he walks up to the door and he's like, "What? You smell bad or something? You got a dead cat in there or something?" And he was wearing the wife beater, and he's like, and Dave was like, "That's the neighbor. That's the neighbor." So we totally used everything we could to find him. And the Thomas Mignon, who did the video, he went, I guess, told us the story that he went to the guy's house or something like that, and the guy was super nice, and he showed him his closet, and he had like 20 wife beaters all. Yes, that was like his character that he'd been doing now. People get typecast, and he was typecast as the scruffy dude wearing the wife beater. I thought that was funny. I was like, that was his outfit, man. That's his gig.
Now, did you guys get in any trouble over the mud incident at the festival with April Wine, Def Leppard, Tom Cochrane, Svengali, and Rockhead in Seabird Island, BC?
Yeah, we did. We did. They were throwing mud and wit. I don't know how he worded it, but it turned into throw mud at the sound people. And it just, I mean, there's mud everywhere. And I still, to this day, I have a Marshall half stack that's got like stains from mud being splattered on it. And oh my God, our crew hated us because there was a lot of mud to clean up on the drums, on the amps. It was ridiculous. It was like a mud fight.
Now, Ugly Kid Joe played America's Least Wanted live in its entirety in Australia. Would the band ever play any other album live in its entirety sometime down the road on an anniversary for a one-off or whatever?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're not ruling it out at all. The EP would be easy.
Yeah.
We could do an opening set, just play it.
Right. Now, Ugly Kid Joe have talked about recording the Overdrive tracks Wrong or Right, Another Girl, and Ghost. Did Ugly Kid Joe ever demo these tracks for possibly to release as Ugly Kid Joe tracks?
I mean, a couple of the Overdrive demo tracks did make Ugly Kid Joe records, but that's probably it. Yeah. I don't think any of those three. I think that those were the ones that didn't make it. But the two we do, Funky Fresh and Don't Go, we did on records, obviously. And Too Bad, yeah, 3 of them, yeah.
Super cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Klaus. That was a lot of fun and a blast to do.
Thank you. We appreciate you doing this, and I really appreciate your green screen doing that's impressive. Now I'm jealous. I want to do it because I had a green screen that we needed during COVID for some reason. Oh no, when we were doing the videos, I bought it and to do one of our videos, and I have it still. And I pulled it out the other day, but I didn't know how to make it work because I'm like, well, this looks stupid. I'm sitting in front of a green screen for an interview, but there's no reason for it. It's really green. So I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out.